Welcome to Royal Secret. Prince Albert II and Princess Charlene of Monaco stood together at sea for a moment that carried far more meaning than a simple royal appearance. As white roses were released into the ocean, the gesture became a quiet but powerful tribute to Commander Jean-Baptiste Charcot, the legendary polar explorer whose life and final voyage remain deeply connected to Monaco's scientific and maritime history. Nearly 90 years after Charcot's last journey, the prince and princess honored a man whose name still represents courage, curiosity, and the willingness to travel into some of the world's most dangerous and unknown places. The white roses drifting across the water created a moving image, but the ceremony was also a reminder that exploration is not only about discovering new territory. It is about preserving knowledge, respecting nature, and remembering those who risked everything in pursuit of a greater understanding of the planet. For Prince Albert, the tribute had an especially meaningful connection. Monaco has long held a special place in the history of ocean science and polar research. The principality's identity has been shaped not only by its famous coastline and royal legacy, but also by its commitment to marine conservation, scientific study, and environmental awareness. Prince Albert has continued that tradition through his public work on climate issues, ocean protection, and the preservation of fragile ecosystems. That is why this ceremony was more than a historical commemoration. It connected Monaco's past with the challenges facing the world today. Commander Jean-Baptiste Charcot was known for his polar expeditions at a time when the Arctic and Antarctic regions were still largely mysterious to the public. His voyages were filled with danger, uncertainty, and extraordinary hardship. Yet Charcot's work helped expand scientific understanding of the polar world and inspired generations of researchers, sailors, and explorers. The image of Prince Albert and Princess Charlene releasing white roses into the sea offered a respectful and symbolic farewell. White roses are often associated with remembrance, peace, honor, and purity. In this setting, they represented a tribute to Charcot's legacy and to all those who have lost their lives at sea while pursuing knowledge, service, or adventure. The ocean can be breathtakingly beautiful, but it is also unpredictable and unforgiving. For explorers like Charcot, every voyage carried real risk. Jean-Baptiste Charcot was not simply remembered as an adventurer. He was also recognized as a serious scientific figure whose expeditions contributed to the study of polar geography, weather, wildlife, and ocean conditions. His work came during an era when explorers often became national heroes, but Charcot's legacy was distinguished by the scientific purpose behind his journeys. He did not travel only for glory. He traveled to learn, to document, and to bring back knowledge that could help the world better understand regions few people had ever seen. That spirit of discovery remains important today, especially as the polar regions face rapid environmental changes. The Arctic and Antarctic are no longer distant places discussed only in history books. They are central to conversations about rising sea levels, changing weather patterns, melting ice, and the future of the world's oceans. The tribute in Monaco therefore carried a message that reached beyond the past. It reminded viewers that the work of explorers and scientists remains essential in a time when the planet is changing before our eyes. Princess Charlene's presence added another layer of emotion to the occasion. As a former Olympic swimmer and a public supporter of water safety and charitable causes, she has often appeared at events connected to the sea, sport, and humanitarian work. Her role beside Prince Albert reinforced the sense that this was a shared moment of remembrance rather than a routine royal engagement. There was no need for grand spectacle. The symbolism of the roses and the open water spoke for itself. Royal ceremonies can sometimes appear distant from ordinary life, but moments like this often resonate because they focus on universal themes. Loss, remembrance, courage, and respect for history are feelings that people everywhere understand. The ceremony also showed how royal families can use their public platform to highlight stories that might otherwise fade from public memory. Commander Charcot's name may not be familiar to every viewer today, but his achievements helped shape the history of exploration and science. Prince Albert's family has a long-standing connection to oceanographic research through his great-great-grandfather, Prince Albert I of Monaco. Known for his own scientific interests and maritime expeditions, Prince Albert I helped establish Monaco as an important center for ocean study. This historical connection makes the tribute to Charcot even more significant. It was not simply a royal family honoring a famous explorer. It was Monaco recognizing a fellow pioneer from an era when the sea represented both opportunity and mystery. The ceremony also reflected the importance of preserving historical memory. In a fast-moving world, public attention often shifts quickly from one story to another. But history has value because it shows where modern ideas began. The scientific concern for the oceans, the fascination with polar regions, and the urgency of environmental protection did not appear overnight. They were built over generations by people who studied, traveled, observed, and warned others about the importance of the natural world. Charcot's final voyage remains a poignant part of his story. His death at sea transformed him from a celebrated explorer into a lasting symbol of devotion to his mission. The white roses released by Prince Albert and Princess Charlene honored that sacrifice with dignity. Rather than focusing only on tragedy, the ceremony emphasized the legacy he left behind. His name continues to stand for determination, scientific curiosity, and respect for the powerful forces of nature. For Monaco, this tribute was also a statement about identity. The principality may be small in size, but it has built an international reputation around the sea. From oceanographic institutions to environmental initiatives, Monaco has repeatedly positioned itself as a place where science, conservation, and public responsibility meet. Prince Albert has continued to speak about the need to protect the oceans, and ceremonies like this make that message more human and memorable. The white roses floating across the water became a visual bridge between generations. They represented the memory of a man who sailed into the unknown almost a century ago, but they also pointed toward the future. The oceans that Charcot explored are still full of mysteries, and they still need protection. His story reminds us that knowledge comes with responsibility. Understanding the planet is only the first step. The next step is deciding what humanity will do with that understanding. For viewers watching this emotional tribute, the ceremony may have seemed simple. A prince and princess at sea. A handful of white roses. A name from history. But behind that moment was a much larger story about courage, science, loss, and legacy. Prince Albert and Princess Charlene did not need dramatic words to make the occasion meaningful. Their presence and the symbolic act of remembrance were enough to honor a man whose work continues to matter. As the roses disappeared into the waves, the message was clear. Some journeys end, but the impact of those journeys can continue for generations. Commander Jean-Baptiste Charcot may belong to history, but the questions he pursued about the oceans, the poles, and the natural world remain more relevant than ever. Could this moving tribute inspire more people to look beyond the glamour of royal life and recognize the urgent importance of protecting the seas that connect us all? Like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, subscribe for more royal news and history, and share this story with others who appreciate the powerful connection between the past, the ocean, and the future.